Alright guys, so I decided to make a YouTube video on how to custom paint your paintball gun. As you can see here, I've got a 98 custom. Basically, I just wanted to talk a little bit about how I went about doing it. I did one a little while ago for a friend of mine and used just the regular paper stencil where you just place it over the top and then spray it. And I wanted to try something a little bit different this time. I'm going to be using the Krylon camouflage paint. It's the matte finish, so it doesn't get that kind of glossy shine. And then I also found a can of like non-gloss matte finish clear coat that I'm going to be putting over the top. As you can see, I've already kind of spray painted it this tan color. I wanted to go with the light background just to get started, since I believe that the colors that I put over the top of it are going to pop a little bit better with that. When I first started, I kind of scuffed up the metal so that it creates a little bit more surface area for the paint to stick to. It's going to help it stick on there a little bit better so it doesn't scratch as easy and just last longer. And then as you can see, all my blue stencils that I put on here, essentially what I did was just took painter's tape and stuck it to a glass back surface, and then just traced out my own stencils and then used a razor blade to cut them out, and then just made sure that they were, stuck on there really good, especially along the creases and everything like that. So hopefully not a lot of paint gets underneath when I do the spraying process. As you can see, I kind of went with the tiger stripe theme. But before I did all this, I kind of did the barrel first. As you can see, I mean, it turned out pretty good. There's a couple spots where it bled under, but I believe that's because I had to rotate the barrel. So it might have pushed the tape up a little bit when I was spraying. As you can see there a little bit. But all in all, I mean, it turned out pretty good. So I'm hoping, since that was my test piece, I'm hoping that this will kind of turn out the same way. And just a general cautionary thing, I put a piece of tape on the inside, running in where all the bolts lay, just so that there doesn't get any increased friction for the bolts when they're running across there. So I'm going to put the first layer, or second layer I should say, over these ones, and then what I'm going to do is, after that dries, then I'll put another layer of these stencils over the top of that, and then I'll spray paint it the last color. So hopefully it'll come out something similar to this. I believe I went tan, green, and then black. So I'll check back after I do the second coat, which is going to be the green. Alright guys, so I put on the coat of green on there, although it doesn't look very green on here. It is. So as you can see, I've kind of covered up all the stencils and everything. Can look good. Make sure to go around all the edges, along the bottom, along the top. And then I made a little mistake mentioning the paint kind, or the paint type in my last one. It's actually Rust-Oleum, but it's the camouflage stuff, as you can see here. And then I figured I would show the matte finish, also made by Rust-Oleum. It says that it's good for crafts and all that stuff, so... it does say that it sticks to metal, so that was one of the main things. It just adds kind of a protective layer over the top of your paint, so helps it so it doesn't chip and whatnot. Now I've already made up the stencils, I just haven't put them on there yet. Basically what you want to do is kind of, picture what your colors are going to kind of look like. You're going to have this guy here is going to be, tan all in here, but of course there's the 98 custom. I put a piece of tape over that so I didn't paint over that. But you kind of want to overlap so it kind of gives that, broken up kind of look. But I will put those on there, and then I will spray paint the last color, which is black, and then I will show you guys what that looks like. Alright guys, so I put the last coat of the non-glass coating on there. So I let it dry for a little bit here, And now I'm going to put it back together and test it out, make sure everything works, and then I will give a last video to see what it looks like all put together. Alright guys, so I decided to do a little bit of a longer section here where I talked a little bit about the process, what I thought was good about it, what was bad, and then unveil the final product, which I have under the towel there. In case anybody was wondering how I did the stencils, I think I mentioned that I did them with tape. The only thing that I think I would do differently here is do single strips of the wide tape, because when you get to these parts where it overlaps, it gets kind of thick for your razor blade, and it makes it a little bit difficult to peel them apart. Otherwise, this kind of tape worked okay. I did have a little bit of bleeding, like I did similar on the barrel around some of the edges, which we'll see in a bit here. Otherwise, I think it would be okay. Maybe a different brand or something like that would do better. So I guess we'll unveil and see what the final product looks like all put back together. So all in all, I think it looks pretty good. As you can see, I also painted up the line here a little bit, just so there's not too much shiny going on besides the two little fittings and the 98 custom symbol there. Everything turned out good. Another thing that probably I didn't like so much is the tape kind of left a little bit of an edge. Even after putting a couple coats of the clear on there, I thought it might get rid of that, but it made it better, but it's not perfect by any means. And like I had mentioned with the bleeding a little bit, kind of hard to see, I guess my phone won't focus. There we go. You can see there's a little bit of bleeding right there especially. But from a distance it's not really that noticeable. So, as for what I liked about this type of paint job, I think you're able to come up with a little bit better graphics. You know, everything's a little bit more, has a little bit more pop, and the edges, you can make sharp edges, unlike if you just lay your stencil on top, it kind of blurs out the edges. But all in all, it looks pretty good. Hopefully I can maybe do a couple more of them in the future. So, you know, if you guys have anything to say about it, or, you know, any experiences of your own, you know, leave them in the comments section, and make sure to like and subscribe for future videos. Thanks for watching, guys.